I transmigrated into a redemption novel. The male lead has already redeemed the female lead, and I'm the younger sister of the supporting male character, Frank. Frank, suffering from unrequited love, fell into depression and became half dead. Our parents found him an eyesore and went on a vacation together to relax. They left 4-year-old me in Frank's care, but he was too busy dying to look after me. Watching Frank about to jump, my little lips quivered as I cried, "Big brother. Can I bother you for a second? Could you make me some milk before you die? I haven't had any milk all day." Frank suddenly turned around, staring at me in momentary bewilderment. "Why are you here? Where are Mom and Dad?" He came down from the railing on the rooftop and walked up to me, looking at me as if I were some rare curiosity. I quietly let out a sigh of relief, my eyes welling up with tears as I said, "Brother, Mom and Dad don't want you. And they don't want me either. They ran away together. We're both so pitiful. The pitiful shouldn't make things harder for the pitiful. So could you at least wait until I've had my fill of milk before you die?" Frank patted my head, his eyes sparkling. He seemed to have forgotten about jumping off the building, patiently explaining to me, "Mom and Dad would never abandon you, but they might abandon me, and the word elope isn't used like that." "Wait, how do you even know the word elope? Who taught you that? Your kindergarten teacher, or some shady little kid? Tell your brother." Where is this guy's focus? Shouldn't it be empathy, feeling like we're all in the same boat? Why did it go off track? I decided to steer it back and said patiently, "Brother, they really don't want me. Let me show you exactly what they said at the time." I put my hands on my hips and said in a childish voice, "What the hell? What on earth did I give birth to? None of them gives me peace of mind." Seeing Frank today, I can already see Jenny's future. If she ever becomes lovesick over some man, it would be the death of me. Old fool. I don't want either of them anymore. Let's elope. After speaking, I put on a resolute expression and said to my brother, "You see, that's how it is. Brother, it's your fault. You have to take responsibility for my childhood." My brother's eyes lit up. "Aren't Mom and Dad usually reluctant to let me play with you? Are they really willing to abandon you like this?" He was even gloating. I sighed and said, "Mom and Dad say I'm stupid, that I can't even recite the ABCs properly." "Brother, you tell me, is it that I don't want to recite them well?" It's just that the ABCs aren't familiar with me and don't want to be friends with me. That's why I can't say their names properly." Look at Bob. I can say his name so clearly. Isn't it because we're friends? Once I get to know the ABCs better, I'll definitely be able to recite them properly. I said it with righteous confidence. My brother paused mid-bend while picking me up, gritted his teeth, and asked nonchalantly, "Who's Bob?" "A friend from kindergarten, my desk mate. He's my best friend and always says he'll marry me when we grow up." I giggled proudly, thoroughly impressed by my own charm. My damn charm is too much to handle, even in kindergarten. My brother gritted his teeth and took a deep breath. "Kids go to kindergarten to learn, not to make friends. Do you even know Bob? Can you tell if he's after your looks or our family's money? Can you?" I retorted defiantly. "I can tell. Bob is after my looks. Money is worthless compared to my beauty." Seeing him go off on a tangent endlessly, I couldn't help but remind him, "Brother, I want milk." Frank was about to carry me downstairs, and I felt happy. Frank wouldn't die. Just then, Frank's phone rang. I glanced at it. It was the female lead calling. Annoying female lead. Why not just stick to flirting with the male lead? What kind of call is this at a time like this? Wouldn't it be better if my brother died? Frank hesitated for a moment. The female lead's allure was simply too strong. This book is essentially a redemption story. The female lead is the one who needs redemption. She's like a piece of meat. Other men are saviors. They are dogs. How can a dog resist the call of meat? Sure enough, Frank answered the phone. I leaned in close to his phone and listened together with him. The female lead named Teresa cried, "Brother Frank, you finally answered my call. I thought you were ignoring me." I curled my lips. "Why does this smell so strongly of a green tea BTCH?" Frank asked. "Teresa, what's the matter?" Teresa sobbed. "It's all because of Chandler. He insists on giving me a wedding, but he really has no money. And I don't want him to feel too bad. He lost everything because of me. Brother Frank, can you help me? I understand now. The main couple wants to show off their love, but they lack the capability. They want me, the cheap older brother, to contribute money and effort while they provide love. Huh, what a brilliant idea. I wouldn't even dare to think that way. So I interrupted, "Brother, I want some milk." My brother froze for a moment and glanced at me. I looked at him with teary eyes. clearly signaling that if he didn't make me a bottle of milk, I'd start crying right then and there. Who's with you? Your girlfriend? Did I interrupt something? Teresa's tone had completely changed. She probably didn't expect my brother to find another little vixen so quickly. Without giving my brother a chance to explain, I shouted, "Are you giving it to me or not? If you don't, I'll find another man." My brother said to Teresa, "Teresa, I really have something urgent here. I'll call you back when I'm free." My brother quickly hung up the phone, casually placed it on the living room table, then glanced around and asked me, "Where's your milk powder?" I'm somewhat satisfied and crossed my arms, saying, "Mom and Dad have already given up on me, so you'll have to cover the cost of formula milk. This is your problem to solve." My brother's expression darkens for a moment as he takes a carton of cold milk from the fridge and hands it to me. "Here, drink milk. Milk is milk too." I fell silent. Milk is indeed milk. But can my tiny body digest cold milk? Wait, this is an opportunity. Frank loves redemption so much, doesn't he? Then let him have all the redemption he wants. I decisively took the iced milk, drank a whole glass, then raised the cup and asked, "Is there more?" My brother was delighted. As he poured me more milk, he laughed. "Isn't this easy to take care of? Mom and Dad didn't want me to bring you along, but when they come back, I'll have you plump and fair." Plump and fair, not a chance. Because I'm sick, empty stomach, 4 years old, ice-cold milk. This combo is a perfect storm of bad ideas. Started feeling awful within an hour. My brother was in the kitchen making food for me, but I was already too weak to crawl to the bathroom. I cried out, "Brother, it's over, I'm finished." My brother emerged from the kitchen, looking utterly disheveled. He was a domineering CEO who usually had the housekeeper cook, but today he had planned to commit suicide and had given her the day off. "What's wrong, Jenny? What happened to you?" My brother ran over and yanked me up from the ground. Then he successfully saw something dripping onto the floor. "Brother, I have diarrhea." I couldn't hold it in. Woo-woo. I cried really loudly because it was so embarrassing. My brother froze for a few seconds, carefully hiding his shock, and comforted me without any trace of disgust. "Don't cry, Jenny, your poop doesn't smell at all. Here, let me smell it to prove it." That was a bit too much, though. In the end, Auntie was still called back by Frank to give me a bath. Auntie kept scolding my brother for giving me ice-cold milk to drink. She went on, complaining so much that Frank had to go up to the rooftop for some fresh air. I had just finished bathing when Frank's phone rang. I went over to check and saw it was a call from Teresa, so I cleared my throat and answered. "Who is this? Who are you? Isn't this Brother Frank's phone?" "Brother, Frank doesn't have any cheap little sister. You've got the wrong number." I was about to hang up when Teresa snapped. "How dare you hang up on me? Do you even know who I am? Brother Frank treats me like the apple of his eye. If you offend me, believe me, I could ruin you." And Frank wouldn't even say a word against it. Just then, Frank came downstairs. Seeing me answer his phone, he barked sternly, "Jenny, don't answer my calls without permission." I muttered one last line, "Brother, my stomach hurts." Then he hung up the phone. Frank immediately straightened his expression. Without even looking to see who had called, he held me and said, "Let's go to the hospital." I was still sighing and groaning while sitting in the car, distracted while driving. Frank asked me, "What's wrong? Does your stomach still hurt? If you can't hold it in, just go in the car. I can handle it. I can't fucking take this. Even if you can, I'm not about to have diarrhea." I just want to ask, as a domineering CEO, don't you have a legendary private doctor? Why didn't you just make a call to summon one instead of bringing me to the hospital? Didn't Mom and Dad say I'm a secret? Aren't you supposed to keep it confidential? My brother cursed before remembering that detail. I'm my parents' late-life daughter, more than 20 years younger than Frank. Age-wise, Frank could easily be my father. Appearance-wise, both Frank and I inherited our mother's good looks, so saying I'm his daughter wouldn't feel out of place at all. After all, as the old saying goes, daughters take after their fathers. My parents treated me like a treasure, and to prevent any potential kidnappings, I was never allowed to appear in public. What do we do now? My stomach suddenly cramped, and I couldn't hold back my tears. "I can't take it anymore, brother. Take me to the hospital quickly. No matter how big the world is, saving lives comes first. Let the adults worry about the rest." The doctor prescribed me medicine and scolded my brother again. "How could you give such a young child ice-cold milk? Milk is already cold in nature, and you gave it to her chilled. At her age, she can only digest formula. Even regular milk would cause indigestion." What kind of father are you? You don't care at all about your own child. Your generation of young people is so irresponsible, thinking that just giving birth is enough. What you really need to learn isn't how to have a child, but how to raise one properly. My brother, a virgin, turned red in the face from the doctor's words but had no way to defend himself. He could only blush and say, "Yes, it's all my fault, besides taking medicine. What else should I pay attention to?" The doctor, who seemed to have too much free time, actually brightened up at this. "You've come to the right person. Let me tell you, there's a whole set of precautions for raising a child. Seeing how responsible and eager to learn you are today, I'll teach you properly." I clung to Frank as he helped hold the hot compress pack on my stomach. After taking the medicine at the hospital, I finally dozed off from exhaustion. In my dream, I saw Frank jump off the building again. The system coldly said to me, "Frank is dead. The host's mission has failed. How do you want to die? Choose one." I jolted awake from the dream and realized it was already dark outside. Frank was holding me and, seeing me awake, smiled and said, "Why are you up? Sleep a little longer." I gazed at the scenery outside the car window, then turned to look ahead. At least he knew to call a designated driver. Holding me in his arms, feeling somewhat relieved, I whispered, "I'm afraid if I fall asleep, I'll wake up and you'll be gone." "I dreamed you died, brother. Will you die?" My brother pressed his lips together. Perhaps he still hadn't abandoned his suicidal thoughts. Tears welled up as I said, "So the dream was true after all. If you die, I won't have a brother anymore. Can I have Bob's brother as my brother then?" Frank's face turned cold as he gritted his teeth and said, "Don't even think about calling Bob brother. What kind of brother is he? From now on, you can't call anyone else brother except me. And dreams are the opposite. I won't die. Stop worrying about nonsense." Feeling reassured, I nestled against Frank's neck and whimpered softly, "Brother, my tummy hurts." Frank stiffened slightly, then gently patted my back and said, "It won't hurt anymore." "It won't. I asked Auntie to make you some rice gruel. The doctor said you'll be fine in a couple of days." I gave a small nod, clutching Frank's clothes with my chubby little hands, and asked, "Brother, the kindergarten is having a mid-autumn festival event in 2 days. Mom and Dad definitely won't help me go. Can you take me?" My brother fell silent for 2 seconds. I started pouting. "I know this is hard for you, but who made me an orphan? I'll go by myself. If the teacher asks, 'Where are your parents?' I'll say they eloped. If she asks, 'Do you have any other relatives?' Don't worry, I won't rat you out. I'll just say you're dead. You're really a filial daughter, aren't you?" With that kind of talk, our family's reputation will be ruined. It's just some lousy event. How can it compare to my company's multi-million-dollar project? He still wouldn't budge. A snot bubble popped out of my nose. Frank froze for 2 seconds, then wiped my nose with his expensive custom-tailored suit. I protested, "It's a bit rough. My parents always use soft tissues for me." Frank said, "You'll have them when we get home." I got back to the point. "Are you afraid to accompany me to the event? Don't tell me you're a sore loser." Frank sneered, "Who's a sore loser? I'm not a sore loser. If I join an event, I'm in it to win. Do you know what people in the business world call your big brother, the undefeated general? Me, lose? Why would I lose?" I knew in my heart that he was emotionally overwhelmed. Wasn't it just being dumped by Teresa? I said sweetly, "Brother, you're the best in my heart. Then it's you and me participating in the event together. Brother, you mustn't let me lose, otherwise, I'll be outshined by the class beauty." I was filled with righteous indignation. My brother was utterly puzzled and said, "Shouldn't the class flower be you? How could my adorable little sister not be the class flower?" I sighed and said, "It's all because of that Mia. She has a handsome older brother, and since there are many girls in our class who all like Mia's brother, they voted for her to be the class flower." "Brother, I think you're even more handsome than Mia's brother." I was laying it on thick with my flattery. Frank couldn't suppress the corners of his mouth from curling up. He cleared his throat and said, "Don't worry, in a few days we'll go to the event together. And then I'll help you get back your position as the class belle." "Really, big brother, I'm so looking forward to it. It's so good to have you." My flattery doesn't cost a thing. Might as well lay it on thick for him. Frank was pleased when his phone suddenly rang. I looked and saw it was Teresa again. I couldn't help rolling my eyes. She's never around for the struggle but always shows up to ruin the victory, without hesitation. My brother answered the call. The car was small, so I could hear Teresa's voice. "Frank, didn't you say you'd call me back? Did someone keep you too busy to return my call?" When has Teresa ever been neglected by her brother for so long? Her brother has always been at Teresa's beck and call. This sudden rejection made Teresa feel a sense of crisis. That's why she took the initiative to call several times in one day. Isn't it just the fear of not having a simp or a fool to squander her resources on? Her brother still explained to her. I was really a bit busy today, Teresa. What was it you wanted my help with this morning? Her brother had been busy all day and had already forgotten what Teresa had asked of him, but Teresa didn't know. She thought her brother had changed his mind, because her brother had always prioritized her needs and never forgotten any of her requests. Brother Frank, are you in a relationship? Can I still call you, here? Besides Chandler, you're the only person I know, so when something came up, I thought of you first. But if you have a girlfriend, would she mind? She probed her brother cautiously. Suddenly, her brother remembered the strict order from their parents to keep his existence a secret from everyone. Without hesitation, he replied, she wouldn't mind. Teresa clenched her phone in anger. So Frank already has a girlfriend. Oh dear, Frank. I suddenly clutched my stomach and said, brother, my tummy hurts. Teresa gritted her teeth. That was supposed to be her line. Who on earth stole her lines and took Frank away? Without any hesitation, Frank said to Teresa, Teresa, I have something to do. I'll hang up now. Teresa quickly interjected, brother Frank, I'm hesitating whether to marry Chandler. I'm not sure if he's the best choice for me. Covering my stomach and pouting as if about to cry, Frank swiftly replied, then let me know once you've made your choice. I really have things to do. Gotta hang up now. As soon as the call ended, Teresa's face darkened. She smashed her phone and growled, damn it, that daughter of mine must have slept with Frank, that little bitch. I won't let her get away with this. Does she think Frank is hers just because I haven't acted yet? Just wait until I make my move. Once Frank dumps her, she'll learn who the real leading lady is. After dinner, the nanny helped me change into my pajamas, and I hugged my pillow as I knocked on Frank's door. Frank opened the door in his pajamas, and my eyes lit up. Oh my so-called stepbrother isn't bad looking at all. Ahem, Jenny, aren't you going to sleep? My brother looked a bit awkward under my gaze. I whispered, brother, I'm scared to sleep alone. Mom always used to sleep with me before. Oh, and she'd sing lullabies to help me fall asleep. I wonder if you have that feature. A hint of embarrassment flashed across Frank's face. He definitely didn't have that skill. Big brother doesn't know how. I'm disgusted. Of course I do. By the way, why didn't Mom sing nursery rhymes to me when I was little? Is that the point? Is the domineering CEO's mind wandering a bit? I know Teresa will definitely cause trouble again tonight. I'll have to keep a close eye on him. This man can only redeem me. Other women can go to hell. When Frank repeated, once upon a time there was a mountain, and on the mountain stood a temple, for the 10th time, I thought he could just drop dead. Ah, system, heavens above, why must you torture me so? Isn't it lovely? I told you I had talent, Frank said proudly, when suddenly his phone rang. No need to look, I just know it must be Teresa, otherwise, who could possibly get through to the CEO's private number in the middle of the night? And as far as I know, Frank, that simp, only gave this number to Teresa. No one else could possibly know it. Frank answered the call, and the line was chaotic. Brother Frank, I think I've had too much to drink. Seeing me get closer, Frank quickly moved his phone away a bit, but still seemed worried I might have heard. He then said sternly, Teresa, as a self-respecting girl, going to a bar late at night is not right. His eyes were telling me that I shouldn't follow Teresa's example. Teresa's mind went blank, nearly forgetting to pretend to be drunk. She quickly adjusted her state and cried, Brother Frank, Chandler and I broke up. I just said we should save a little. And he accused me of looking down on him for being poor, said I liked you, called me a gold digger. It's completely over between us. Frank tightened his grip on his phone, about to unleash his compassion. I suddenly clutched my stomach. Brother, my tummy hurts, rub it for me, please. Teresa was speechless. Brother was speechless. Brother Frank, is there someone with you? Ahem, yes, there is. But he didn't dare to say it was me. Teresa's breath hitched, and I added fuel to the fire, saying, Brother, I'm sleepy, you should coax me to sleep. I can't stay up late, you know, it's bad for my health. Frank directly told Teresa, Teresa, you should go home now. I really have something to do. Let's talk another day. After hanging up the phone, Frank gently patted me, patiently coaxing me to sleep. I said to my brother, Brother, I have nightmares at night. If I wake up and don't see anyone, I'll cry, Frank immediately assured. Don't worry, Jenny, I'll always be here for you. I hesitated and said, but I might wake up if I hear the phone ring. Without hesitation, Frank set his phone to silent. Sleep peacefully, the phone won't disturb you. I'll rub your tummy, it's all my fault for making you suffer. I promise to take good care of you and make you healthy and plump. Just let it be, forget about it. I fell asleep contentedly, but I knew Teresa definitely couldn't sleep. Sure enough, after being hung up on, Teresa refused to give up and kept calling Frank. As expected, Frank didn't answer, thinking he was singing me a lousy lullaby to put me to sleep. He ended up putting himself to sleep instead. Damn it, who the hell is it? I've known Frank for so long. How come I've never seen him with any woman? Could it be because I chose Chandler? And he was so heartbroken that he found someone else. How infuriating. I trusted him too much. Men are all the same. Can't live without a woman. Teresa angrily downed a glass of wine and continued muttering, Frank isn't even answering my calls. It must be that woman seducing him. Once a man gets a taste, he's bound to develop feelings. I should have just slept with Frank and made him dependent on me. As she spoke, Teresa suddenly felt dizzy. She couldn't help but shake her head. Only feeling someone pick her up, the moment before Teresa lost consciousness, she was still thinking, Frank was just putting on a tough act. Look who came to get her in the end, didn't he? As long as she seized today's opportunity and made something happen with Frank, she could win his heart back. Teresa was a transmigrated strategist, and her goal was to have all men redeem her. Originally, she chose Chandler in the book, but Teresa couldn't stand Chandler's poverty. She pursued a quality life. Since she's the female lead, she should choose Frank. That way, she can live a good life, while secretly keeping in touch with Chandler and having a child with him. Such perfect redemption left no room for criticism. The next day, Teresa woke up feeling sore all over, as if she had been through a night of battle. Looking at the marks on her body, her heart blossomed with joy, but Frank was nowhere to be found. Doesn't Frank want to take responsibility? Teresa immediately took out her phone and called Frank. At that moment, Frank was helping me prepare milk powder. I answered his call and asked, what's the matter? Brother is busy, make it quick. Teresa gritted her teeth in anger. Who told you to touch Frank's phone? Give it back to him right now. Do you actually have something important? We're busy. I'm so sick of the female lead's attitude. Always interrogating people as if the whole world revolves around her. Don't you dare hang up. Let me tell you, Frank and I have already been intimate. I might even be carrying his child. Do you really think you can compare to me now? I was stunned for a moment. Wait, when did Frank and Teresa get involved right under my nose? He's been with me the whole time. There's no way he could have been intimate with you. Oh, brother Frank was intimate with me all night yesterday. If you were together, you must have been dreaming. I thought back to what happened last night and was certain I hadn't been dreaming. Frank, that domineering CEO, was grinding his teeth and snoring, and I couldn't fall asleep until dawn. Teresa claimed she had that kind of relationship with Frank, unless Frank's soul left his body. If you have something to say, get to the point. I advise you to be smart and get lost now. Otherwise, when I return to Frank's side, I'll make sure you're dead. Time for milk. Frank handed me the bottle. And with teary eyes, I said, brother, this woman is so rough. She's trying to kill me. Brother, I'm scared. Frank immediately picked me up to comfort me, then shouted into the phone, what are you doing? How could you speak to Jenny like that? How could you be so rough? Teresa was stunned by Frank's outburst and quickly explained, brother Frank, it's me, Teresa. Stop, stop, stop. I don't care who you are, no matter who you are. You can't talk to Jenny like that. I'm warning you. This is the last time. If you dare to speak to Jenny like that again, I won't be polite with you. Frank hung up the phone, leaving Teresa completely bewildered. She couldn't understand why Frank, who had been so passionate last night, had become so cold today. Was it because she wasn't a virgin? Teresa bit her lip, her mind racing for a solution. No, no way. She absolutely couldn't let Frank, that little cash cow, slip away. Teresa rubbed her belly. The only way out now was to use a child to tie Frank down. As long as she had a child, even if Frank refused to acknowledge it, she could always demand a paternity test. Frank had no choice but to admit it. Now she has a share in everything the Owens family owns. But lately, she hasn't been able to see her brother. Her brother is very busy. He was busy taking me to kindergarten, busy picking me up, and busy checking in on the kindergarten group chat. My brother tagged the teacher in the group. Teacher's son, our Jenny is treating everyone to lemonade, hope everyone likes it. The group was full of compliments for my brother, the teacher really liked him, he's practically a little Santa Claus, always treating our class to extra meals and snacks. All the teachers showed me special favor, and everyone said I had a handsome father. I didn't explain, because explaining would mean admitting my father wasn't handsome, and he'd beat me when he got home. Brother is important. But it's father who decides the inheritance rights. I still know what's primary and what's secondary. Brother must be saved, but father must not be offended either. Everything is mine, all of it. Back at home, I sipped on milk that was just the right temperature, while my brother learned from the aunt how to cook meals I could eat. Yes, yes, you're doing great, young master. You're already such a wonderful brother. The aunt didn't hold back her praise. And my brother's smile was harder to suppress than an AK. Who do you think I am? There's nothing Frank can't do. I've told Mom and Dad long ago to let me take care of Jenny, but they wouldn't agree. If they'd let me take care of Jenny earlier, she'd have been chubby by now. Yes, yes, indeed. Your sister is truly fortunate to have a brother like you. I also shouted, Brother, you're the best brother in the world. After finishing the meal, I quietly got up, intending to go to sleep. But Frank stopped me, gently wiping my mouth with a soft tissue. He said in a relaxed tone, Jenny, did you forget something? I'm speechless, as expected. There's no escaping it. Brother, can I? Today? No way. Everyone in the group has already posted their videos. Let's just do one reading, okay? I believe if they can do it, you definitely can too. I believe in you. You wouldn't want to embarrass me in the parents' group chat, would you? I'm speechless. How can this even reverse brainwash someone, to prevent him from focusing on Teresa? I had no choice but to agree, but with this body of mine, my tongue just can't articulate properly. Everything I say comes out in a childish, unclear voice. I swear I did my best. Big brother still wasn't satisfied. Honey, let's read it one last time, okay? I'll take you out for something delicious tomorrow. And I'll buy you whatever you want. All right. Just as I was about to refuse, Teresa came in with the auntie. Brother Frank, finally got to see you. Frank's eyes paused for a moment, as if he only remembered Teresa's existence upon seeing her. Do you need something from me? His brother's tone was somewhat cold. We had already recorded the video several times, and Frank's patience was wearing thin. He was annoyed but couldn't vent his frustration on me, so he redirected his anger. Teresa said with a smile, Brother Frank, didn't you promise to accompany me to the auction tomorrow? You said you'd bid on that necklace I like and give it to me as a birthday present. She had been eyeing that multi-million-dollar necklace at the auction for a long time. She had even boasted to others about owning it, and promised to show it to them. I suddenly got interested and said to Frank, I want that necklace too. As long as you buy it for me, I'll record the video properly. Teresa's gaze fell on me, her pupils narrowing slightly. Who is she? Frank, do you have a daughter? Well done, pursuing me while having such a grown-up daughter. Frank, you're something else. Frank frowned as she made a scene, saying, Can't you be gentler? You're scaring Jenny. I immediately ran over and hugged Frank's leg. Jenny is scared. The auntie was mean. Frank picked me up and comforted me gently. Don't be scared. We won't be friends with rude people from now on, Teresa. Holding onto Frank's neck, I whispered a reminder. The kindergarten teacher said there's a parent-teacher meeting tomorrow. If you're busy, I can just ask Mom to go. Frank immediately responded, I'm free, of course I'm free. I'll go with you to the kindergarten. Let's not disturb Mom. Teresa pulled a pregnancy test from her pocket and threw it at Frank. I'm pregnant. It's your child. Frank's pupils dilated in shock. I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. You're not going to deny it, are you? Even if you have other children, the one in my belly is yours too. You can't just abandon him. Teresa made Frank sound like a heartless scoundrel. Frank looked exasperated. Teresa, if you're pregnant, focus on taking care of yourself. All this shouting isn't good for the baby. Here, I have a few copies of Good Mothers Are Better Than Good Teachers. Take them home and study them carefully. Oh, and you might also want to read some prenatal education books. They'll be good for both you and your child. What do you mean, my child? Frank, the baby in my belly is ours. Yours and mine, ours. Are you really going to deny it? Frank, when did you become so irresponsible? I retorted to Teresa, you're lying. Frank is the most responsible person. Frank also said, that's right, I am the most responsible. Teresa, don't bring up those things in front of the child. All right, I'm really busy. We'll talk another day when we meet, Auntie. Please see Teresa out. if it were the old Frank, not only would he have gotten drunk upon hearing Teresa was pregnant, but even just knowing Teresa kissed Chandler would have sent him into a drunken stupor. The current Frank is too indifferent towards Teresa, making it somewhat unbearable for her. Fine, I'll get a paternity test once the baby is born. Let's see if you'll admit it then, though unwilling. Teresa had no choice but to turn and leave. I asked Frank with a smile, "Bro, did you really sleep with that auntie just now? Is the baby in her belly really yours?" My brother's eyes were filled with shock. Where did you hear that sleeping together leads to pregnancy? That's utterly filthy. Don't believe it, don't listen to it. What on earth are they teaching in that kindergarten? My brother immediately called the Education Bureau, and within a few days, all schools held safety education lectures. And my brother was the sponsor of these lectures. I had already defeated Mia and became the new class belle. Every day, people would ask me to deliver love letters and snacks to my brother. Of course, I gave the love letters to him and kept the snacks for myself. My brother treats me like his own daughter, spending all his time either working or attending tutoring classes to learn how to be a qualified parent. Every day, he's fed with all kinds of motivational chicken soup. Until he's full, he doesn't even have time to think about Teresa, let alone contemplate suicide. As the Mid-Autumn Festival approaches, he even took me to have custom-made clothes for the occasion. My parents called to say they couldn't make it back, and my brother outright said they didn't need to come, he could handle it. 9 months later, Teresa gave birth to the baby, but when she saw the baby's skin color, Teresa's face darkened. This child's genes have mutated. The doctor pursed his lips and couldn't help but remind her, "Miss, genetic mutation doesn't work like that. This child is completely of a different race from you. His father must be black." Impossible, absolutely impossible. The child's father is Frank. He can't be black. Teresa was going crazy. She didn't need to find someone to do a paternity test anymore, because it was obvious to the naked eye that this child wasn't Frank's. "No, I can't lose. I still have a chance." The doctor glanced at the test report again and said, "By the way, miss, I forgot to tell you, it seems you have a disease. Fortunately, we took precautions, or your contaminated blood could have infected us, and you wouldn't be able to bear that responsibility. I've already reported it for you. Make sure to take your medication properly from now on. Your child might also be infected, so be careful." The doctor's words were dripping with disdain for people like her, those who were sick yet concealed their illness. The doctor felt nothing but seething resentment. Teresa didn't dare to look at the child even once. When she came out of the operating room, she didn't take the child with her at all and secretly ran away. The hospital immediately called the police. The police arrested Teresa for the crime of abandonment. Teresa still refuses to admit that it's her own child, but the video is in high definition, leaving her no room for denial. Because she gave birth to a black man's child, Chandler outright abandoned Teresa. Teresa has been wanting to see Frank, but he's been too busy to meet with her. "Because I've recently been pursued by several men, it's been bothering him a lot. Jenny, you see, it's like this. Your perspective at this age is definitely different from when you grow up. What good can a little boy in kindergarten possibly be? All he knows is how to sweet talk. You mustn't be fooled by him. But he helps me clean the tables and chairs. That's just a tactic to win you over. You can't be fooled by that. A boy who doesn't spend money on a girl isn't a good boy. But he bought me a hair clip. Isn't it just a hairpin? I'll take you to buy one, Mom and Dad. Really, I've always said girls should be raised with abundance." But they wouldn't listen, insisting on this commoner's education. "Now look, the child's upbringing is all messed up." "Brother, what are you muttering about?" "Nothing, I didn't say anything." "Later, I'll call Mom and Dad and tell them to stay out a few more days." I was speechless. My brother doesn't seem to want to die now. He just wants to educate me properly. "Listen, little sister, material things are secondary. What really matters is character. Do you understand what character means?" "It's okay if you don't, I can explain it to you." My brother started rambling, and I couldn't help but yawn. "Save me, who exactly is this chatterbox trying to redeem?" "Little sister, did you hear that?" "Yes, I heard it, big brother. It's so nice to have you. By the way, Mia's clothes are all handmade by her brother." Sigh, I really wish I had a brother like that. Handmade, isn't he amazing? Wait, I just thought of something. I think he works at our company. I'll transfer over to be his assistant. My brother never says no to my requests. The system sounded in my mind. "Congratulations, host, the conquest is successful. You can now enjoy the fruits of victory in this world." I curled my lips into a smile. The good life in this world is secured. My parents sent a text. Our daughter is truly reliable. From now on, you'll inherit the family fortune. I burst out laughing. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. The good news is, I found my biological parents. The bad news is, I grew up spoiled and ignorant, and now I've accomplished nothing. I was spoiled rotten, but that's only natural. When someone pampers you, you're bound to become spoiled. So, I ran to my brother's place and started playing the victim. Brother, it's all your fault. I'm totally screwed now. My brother's veins bulged on his forehead. Speak, what the hell happened? I plopped down on the ground without a care for my dignity, desperately clutching at Jacob's pant leg, my face a picture of despair, tears and snot smeared all over him in messy streaks. Jacob couldn't hold back any longer. Vivian, what are you doing? I raised my eyes, tears welling up in them. He immediately softened his aggressive demeanor, took a deep breath, and spoke in a gentler tone. First, tell me what's really going on. This all traces back to one day earlier. I was about to graduate and didn't want to be an intern anymore, so I decided to go home and surprise my parents. Little did I know, I would end up hearing the truth about my origins. Turns out, I was switched at birth. Jacob and I are not biological siblings. Mom and Dad are in the study, discussing how to communicate and how to compensate their biological daughter. I didn't dare to listen anymore because they mentioned me in an exhausted tone. My mind was buzzing all day. I've been arrogant and domineering since childhood. When I was little, my parents tried to cultivate my interests. They successively brought me music instruments, dance, painting, and even martial arts. In the end, I drove them all away. No particular reason. I just find it too wordy and noisy. Every time my mom scolds me, I hide behind Jacob, pouting with grievance. It's fine if Vivian doesn't want to learn, don't force her. My mom massages her forehead. You spoil Vivian like this. When she grows up knowing nothing, are you going to support her? Jacob looked resolute. Yes, I'll raise her. Thus, taking advantage of his doting on me, I became utterly unruly. If I didn't feel like attending class, then I'd just have fun, bullying the weak. He's got my back. No education is fine. Our family isn't short on money. I'm all set to live the rest of my life as a happy freeloader, but now, they're telling me I'm not their biological child. My world collapsed. Thinking about the miserable life awaiting me in my later years, I truly cried. Brother, you have to take responsibility for turning me into this. Jacob was speechless. My mom said, as the saying goes, spoiling a child is like killing them. There was once a mother who indulged her son in stealing. When he was very young, he stole an embroidery needle. In the end, he was sent to the execution ground. Before his death, he made one final request to his mother. Do you know what he did? He bit off one of her ears. Jacob suddenly closed his eyes. What exactly did you steal? I grew impatient. Oh, why can't you understand? Jacob looked at me with a face full of surprise. You've grown up, learning to use metaphors now. I really don't have time to joke with you. I'm not your biological sister. Jacob stopped moving. He reached out and pulled me off the ground in one swift motion. What does it matter? Even without blood ties, I'll still take care of you. What if the real heiress thinks I took advantage of her and made her suffer for 21 years? Would she then make our parents kick me out? Moreover, my arrogant and domineering image is already deeply ingrained in everyone's minds. If I were to clash with the heiress, everyone would surely side with her and condemn me together. Although my brother dotes on me, after all, I'm not his biological sister. Over time, woo-woo, just thinking about it feels terrifying. Jacob looked at my pouting lips and helplessly crouched down, coaxing me as always. Then whatever you want, I'll agree to it. Okay, why not send me abroad to study? Jacob's eyes flickered slightly as he made the suggestion. That won't do. I offended too many people in middle school, and they're all abroad now. If they find out I've fallen from grace, they'll definitely come after me with a vengeance. I might end up dying in a foreign land, with no place to be buried. I bit my finger and rejected the idea. A vein bulged on Jacob's forehead as he covered my mouth. Brother, what should we do now? He froze for a moment, probably having never seen me cry so heartbrokenly before. After a long while, Jacob finally hugged me. Don't be afraid, I won't abandon you, he said. I cried for a long time, soaking my brother's custom-made black shirt, and then fell asleep. In a daze, I was carried to a soft bed. someone gently wiped my face, and then quietly closed the door. When I woke up, it was already dark outside. Rubbing my swollen, red eyes, I pushed open the door and saw Jacob standing on the balcony, silent. He stared blankly at the distant skyscrapers, a burnt-out cigarette between his fingers. My heart instantly tightened. Back then, when Jacob took over the group, he hadn't yet gained a firm foothold. And many crucial decisions were met with obstruction from senior management. When the pressure reached its peak, he started smoking. After discovering it, I started coughing, experiencing difficulty breathing, and having heart pain, unreasonably pestering him to quit smoking. Jacob couldn't resist me and had no choice but to quit. Why is it starting again? Is it because of me, bro? I called out in a low voice. Jacob's fingers trembled, and he instinctively stubbed out his cigarette. His disheveled hair blocked my view. Only then did I notice the slight swelling and redness on his right cheek, as if someone had slapped him. The corner of his mouth twitched, his voice slightly hoarse. Awake, I'll make you a bowl of noodles. He walked past me, his steps hurried. The phone vibrated faintly. He clicked to look. It was a message from Dad, but it was quickly deleted. The situation was already very clear. I might be kicked out forever. I covered my mouth and ran back to my room. Just before the guillotine fell, I quickly checked my bank balance. Fortunately, there was still about 5 million left. I transferred 500,000 each to the two girls I had been sponsoring for years, hoping they could have a better life in the future. Soon, 2 question marks appeared in the group chat with the 3 of us. I briefly explained the situation and tactfully stated that I could no longer provide them with financial support. I'm feeling very sensitive now, paranoid, as if anyone could step on me, not wanting to expose my vulnerable side. Just as I was about to disband the group, they initiated a video call. Lisa, it's no big deal. I'll take care of you. Tina, sis, I'll take care of you too. Tears streamed down my face once again. As touching as it was, I still politely declined. Whimper. Your little savings couldn't even buy one of my handbags. Lisa and I are the same age. While Tina is our junior, in middle school, they were admitted to a prestigious private school despite coming from poor families. This delicate little white flower was simply too alluring to those spoiled rich kids. As a privileged young lady myself, nothing delighted me more than protecting them, and so, our relationship has continued to this day. I'm not sure if we're friends, but they all seem to enjoy sharing their lives with me, which is quite interesting. Seeing that I rejected their sponsorship, they spent an entire night planning my future. In the end, we reached the best possible solution: open a shop. My only talent and hobby is probably baking. Let's get started. The next day, Jacob finally accepted the fact that he wasn't her biological brother. Seeing that my emotions were relatively stable, he tentatively asked a question. It seems that someone who has undergone a major upheaval can truly grow up overnight. I even began to reflect on myself. My brother has been very good to me, but I shouldn't have used that as an excuse to bind him. If it were any other time, I would certainly be sincere and honest. However, the current me is no longer the refined lady I once was. One must learn to recognize the situation. I sighed inwardly, forcing a smile. It's wonderful that our parents found their biological daughter. What's her name, and which school does she attend? Jacob glanced at me, his deep, inscrutable eyes unreadable. Her name is Zara. She's currently studying abroad and is classmates with Lucas. It seems they get along quite well. At this point, he paused, lowering his eyes to avoid my gaze. I froze for a moment. I've heard of the name Zara before. Once, I called Lucas and heard a woman's voice on the other end. I immediately asked jealously who it was. He paused briefly and replied calmly. A classmate from our research group. The second time, Lisa secured an exchange student opportunity abroad, and coincidentally, it was at the same university as him. She knew about my feelings for Lucas, so she helped me investigate his situation and found out that Lucas had collaborated with Zara on several projects. The third time, Jacob told me that she was actually the real heiress who had been switched at birth. Seeing my devastated expression, Jacob let out a light sigh. Lucas is aloof and proud. I didn't want you to pursue him because I was afraid you'd get hurt in the end. Don't worry, brother, I've stopped pursuing him. The Liu and Chen families have been close friends with our family for generations. Lucas and I grew up together since childhood. He excelled academically, had outstanding looks, and carried an aloof demeanor that kept others at a distance, perfectly fitting the male lead in my mind. So, as the childhood friend, I took my place by his side. For so many years, not a single female mosquito has been seen around him. Although Lucas appears cold and distant to everyone, he silently tolerates all my little antics. I interpreted his behavior as non-resistance, so I pursued him even more aggressively. I even planned to settle our marriage after graduation, and Lucas, by sheer coincidence, encountered the real heiress. I dare not imagine how miserably I would have died if I had remained deluded. Upon hearing this, Jacob's eyes flickered slightly, and his Adam's apple bobbed. Such a clumsy excuse could never fool my brother. He could tell at a glance that I was faking it. Jacob suddenly stood up, regaining his usual seriousness. I'm going to work. Not long after, Lisa sent me the store opening procedures and precautions, nanny-style teaching, extremely detailed. Tina happens to be attending university in this city, and she volunteered to create the design plans for me, helping me with the location for my new store. All I need to do is focus on my exams. I contacted a well-known baking training institution to learn more about it in person. Fortunately, the city's Social Security Bureau is hosting a competition recently. If I can make it, I can apply to become a senior pastry chef, and passing it will earn me a level 3 professional qualification certificate. So, I signed the contract and enrolled in the most expensive class. When I got home to check the class schedule, the doorbell rang. As soon as the door opened, I saw a hot blonde woman. When she saw me, her smile froze, and she awkwardly greeted me. Hey, is this Jacob's place? She spoke with a British accent. I remember back then, my mom sent my brother a bunch of photos of girls his age, urging him to go on blind dates. She was the only foreigner who left a deep impression. I heard she was the daughter of a major overseas client, named Angie, and fell for Jacob at first sight when he went to discuss business. The foreigner was very outgoing in her behavior, and my brother seemed quite flustered by her advances. Of course I stand by my brother's side, and it's only right to help him out, so I smiled and spoke fluent English. I'm his girlfriend. Angie's face darkened. From what I know, he doesn't have a girlfriend yet. I lifted my slightly curled hair, putting on a haughty expression. Sorry. He pursued me for a long time before I agreed. If you don't believe me, you can ask him yourself. Yes, she is my girlfriend. Jacob's voice came unhurriedly. He walked past the dumbfounded Angie. Indeed, siblings share a telepathic connection. Angie looked at us suspiciously. I affectionately wrapped my arm around Jacob's, my voice sweet and sugary. Sweetie, you've worked hard all day. How about steak for dinner tonight? Jacob's body instantly stiffened, turning as rigid as a statue. Displeased, I pinched him. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and soon regained his composure. Turning to ask Angie if she needed something from him, Angie kept a cold expression, muttered an apology, then walked away in her high heels. My acting was pretty good, right? He didn't speak, just tilted his head slightly, his Adam's apple bobbing as he uttered a slightly hoarse sentence. Put on more clothes. The room has air conditioning. Aren't you afraid of catching a cold? I looked down and saw myself wearing a silk spaghetti strap dress, with the hint of cleavage faintly visible. I might never have been this busy in my entire life. At noon, I need to go check on the renovation progress of the dessert shop. Oh, I still need to revise my graduation thesis. I glanced at the clock. It was already 8 a.m., woken up by Lucas's call. Looking at the note, it felt like ages had passed. More than a month had gone by without contacting him. I was taken aback for a moment before answering. Vivian. It was already early morning in the UK, and the voice on the other end sounded hoarse. I asked softly, what's wrong? Lucas paused for a moment. Not happy, no. What did you want to talk to me about? In the past, it was always me who called him, and he would just say a few words before hanging up. Today, he was acting strange. Could it be that he's discovered I'm an imposter and wants to take this chance to cut ties? I gripped my phone tightly. Rather than suffer humiliation, it's better to strike first. Lucas, didn't you say before that you wanted to visit the UK for a trip? It seems that was the case. However, I was too busy making money to take the time to explain to them. I'm planning to open a dessert shop. I've been quite busy lately. Sorry about that. Perhaps shocked by a glutton like me. He froze for a few seconds before snapping out of it. Why do you suddenly want to open a dessert shop, Vivian? It's time for class. Just then, Jacob knocked on my door. Lucas, I have something to do. I'll contact you when I have time. I decisively hung up the phone. I thought that, given Lucas's personality, he probably wouldn't call me again in the future. Unexpectedly, things turned out quite differently than I had imagined. Because of my deliberate avoidance, Lucas contacted me more and more frequently. While I was inspecting the newly renovated storefront, my dad called me. He was happy about my recent progress, but also found me a headache. When it came to my biological parents, Dad hesitated and finally sighed, "Vivian, your parents." My heart skipped a beat. I'm still not ready to accept this kind of emotional drop. Dad, you always told me to have my own career. Now I've come to a profound realization. I don't care whether my biological parents are rich or poor. I just want to rely on my own abilities to carve out a world of my own. To prove that your upbringing over these past 20 years has been successful. Hearing this, my father's eyes welled up with tears, his voice trembling with emotion. What a good daughter you are. All right, I'll hang up first, and we can talk more when we meet. After hanging up, I breathed a sigh of relief. There are several reasons why Zara was able to study abroad. The first person comes from a very poor family, but she works extremely hard. The second category, affluent families that receive substantial support. The second condition does not hold. She dressed very plainly, carrying only a white backpack, with no trace of any designer brands on her. Overall, both my biological father and mother likely came from modest backgrounds. Forget it, overthinking is useless. One must rely on oneself in life. Everything went smoothly. I passed the exam and obtained my pastry chef certification. By the way, I also received a graduation diploma. All the procedures have been completed, and the staff have also been found with the help of the private pastry chef. 2 days before the opening, I had already posted advertisements on my social media. Most people said they would definitely come to support. However, I noticed a striking comment. Miss James, so dignified, has fallen to selling desserts. Well, of course, since you're a fake, after all. I found the person on my personal homepage. At that time, Lisa was chased into the restroom by the boy she liked. Her face seemed to have been pressed into a bucket by me. No wonder he hates me so much. However, what I'm more curious about is where this rumor originated from. The group of lively classmates gave me the answer. Turns out, Lucas told Zara about this at a bar. Just then, a rich kid who had a grudge against me overheard it. The news spread quickly. Seeing that I hadn't responded for a long time, the group chat immediately erupted with all kinds of mocking voices. Just as I stubbornly stared at the sky to keep my tears from falling, Lucas called me. For the first time, I sensed a hint of emotion in his icy tone. I didn't know this would get out. Vivian, I'm sorry, I've already disbanded the group. The phone call came through with a hurried and hoarse voice. Vivian, I've already booked the flight for tomorrow. Can you wait for me? I didn't say anything. After hanging up the phone, I looked up at the neon-lit nightscape of the bustling city. Take a few more glances, you might not see it again in the future. With a turn, Jacob was quietly standing behind me. Who knows what he had been listening to? I was shocked and furious. Are you spying on me? Every time I call Lucas, you always rush over to interrupt me right away. He suddenly started coughing violently, under my scrutinizing gaze. Jacob was the first to back down, saying somewhat awkwardly, I'm sorry. This was an accident. I didn't hear anything. I widened my eyes. He did it on purpose. I couldn't help but look him up and down. In the eyes of employees, the composed and reserved CEO. In the eyes of his parents, the rigid and dull son. Who knew he could be so childish? Bro, if you don't want to talk to him, just say it. No need to hurt yourself with a razor like last time. It would break my heart. The words that followed, I didn't say them out loud. This time, Jacob didn't avoid my gaze. He replied, yes, I don't want you to associate with him. He's not worthy of you. Those deliberately suppressed emotions surged up like a flood, leaving a sour, swollen feeling in my heart. In front of Jacob, it seems I never need to hide my grievances. I couldn't help but pout. Okay, Jacob shrugged and smiled helplessly. This time, even if I'm crying my eyes out, I won't scold you. My brother is a bit of a neat freak, so for him to say that was already quite lenient. I threw myself into his embrace. The scent on my brother was so pleasant. Being held by my brother felt truly warm. His chest was so broad, I couldn't help but, my eyes widened in shock. What was happening? He was my brother. How could I possibly have such improper thoughts about him? At that very moment, another piece of information surfaced in my mind. But we weren't blood-related after all. I pushed my brother away abruptly and rushed into my room, locking the door behind me. This time, he was genuinely using his left brain. I clutched my head in agony, finally understanding why I felt this way. I've fallen in love with my brother. Since when? Probably because no matter how late I work, As soon as I look up, I can see a floor lamp and someone sitting under its light, intently reading documents, perhaps because I secretly sold my jewelry bag. So he didn't expose it either, but instead continued to send me new ones, with words like voluntary gift, never to be taken back, written on them. Maybe it's because he always arranges the fruit platter into little bears, or perhaps because the dark curtains and carpets at home have all been replaced with cream-colored ones, and there's always a fresh white lisianthus with dewdrops on the coffee table every day. What would Jacob do if he found out? My dad enrolled him in traditional Chinese culture classes when he was young, and after all these years, he's developed quite a refined demeanor, even a bit old-fashioned. If he found out his sister had such immoral thoughts, he'd probably never speak to me again. Hearing Jacob's anxious voice outside the door, I took a few deep breaths and calmly told him I still had things to do, seeing that I absolutely refused to open the door. He double-checked a few more times before finally leaving with relief. I stared desperately at the ceiling, determined to nip this thought in the bud. On the opening day, many classmates came. I have good relationships with people, and many genuinely congratulated me. Only a small number came with the intention of watching the spectacle. For example, Zane wanted to drug Tina, but I caught him and called the police. Forcing him to flee abroad, he parked his Maybach leisurely in front of the shop. Looking smug like a petty villain who had gotten his way, after entering, he took off his sunglasses and glanced around. Has Miss James fallen so low that she can only afford to run a small shop? There weren't many guests on the first day, just familiar faces. Now, however, it was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everyone's expressions changed. Some were curious, some sympathetic, and others just there for the drama. I said expressionlessly, "Are you here to cause trouble?" "Then I'll call the police." Zane thought of what happened back then, a flash of anger crossing his eyes, but he still managed to force a faint smile. "Can't I just take care of your business?" He had the staff pack over a dozen desserts. When it was time to pay, he deliberately let go, shattering everything. Ouch, how can the staff in your shop be so clumsy? He gave me a provocative glance. "Then please pack another one for me, boss. Don't worry, I have money." What I hate the most is people who waste food like this. That's why he's using this method to disgust me. I clenched my fists, debating whether to slap him or go home and tell my brother to teach him a lesson. Ding dong, the door was pushed open, emitting a crisp chime. She was a girl wearing a plaid shirt with her hair in a ponytail, her skin a warm wheat color. I was instantly captivated. I could say with absolute certainty that she was Zara, because she looked so much like my mother. Zara's gaze also fell upon me, her expression natural, with a hint of a smile at the corners of her mouth. "Hey, Vivian, it's Zara." Strangely, her Mandarin was mixed with a bit of Cantonese. Zane was momentarily stunned, then broke into an exaggerated smile. "Oh my, the real young lady of the James family is here. Everyone, we can't miss such a good show." A glint flashed in Zara's eyes as she quickly figured out the reason behind it. "I want to tell you about your parents." Zane hurriedly spoke up. "Let's talk this out properly. We're all old classmates. No need to make things too tense." Zara also nodded and said, "Her father's surname is Wilson, the top person on Hong Kong's rich list, the chairman of CH Group." Both Zane and I were stunned, and the whole room erupted in an uproar. It took me a few seconds to regain my composure. "Wait a minute, first step." I grabbed Zane by the collar and gave him 2 hard slaps. I glared at him and threatened. "Do you know how much I hate wasting food?" Zane swallowed hard and nodded. He picked up the bag from the ground, stuffed the dessert into his mouth, and then slunk away. 30 years east of the river, 30 years west. No one could have predicted how quickly things would unfold. As it turned out, my father was the youngest and most doted upon son in our family. He had a clear understanding of his own limitations. From the very beginning, he never intended to get involved in the family's internal power struggles. Instead, he thrived by relying on sweet talk and flattery. He had several siblings, and thanks to the massive trust left by the old man and a few highly profitable companies, they all lived very comfortably. The company is managed by dedicated professionals, allowing him to travel the world with his wife. That's how they ended up mistakenly bringing home the wrong child abroad. Zara and I walked side by side along the lake, chatting about our families and hobbies. My father is a man of few words who enjoys wearing jade pendants, keeping fish, drinking tea, and calligraphy. My mother was a workaholic in her youth, decisive and efficient, but now she's completely given up. binge watching short dramas until dawn and sleeping until noon the next day. As for my brother, mentioning Jacob, I had even more to say. Jacob likes the color gray, wears suits all year round, prefers minimalist and cool styles, enjoys reading, playing chess, painting, playing the piano, watching sci-fi movies, and is also a military enthusiast. When he's in a bad mood, he goes to the balcony to get some fresh air. When he's happy, he cooks, enjoys home-style dishes, and honestly, he has a fitness routine and goes hiking or rock climbing on weekends. Zara smiled slightly, listening quietly. It seems you really like my brother. At the mention of the word like, I immediately stood up. After all, we're family. Seeing me stare at the clothes, she instantly knew what I wanted to ask. Look at this outfit of mine, all custom made by a private tailor to match the family's style. Her family is so wealthy. Why did Dad keep sighing back then? Furious, I sent him a message. He quickly replied, I didn't raise you to be as outstanding as Zara. I feel like I've lost. Is this reasonable? I suspect he did it on purpose just to make a fool of me. After talking to Zara, a look of guilt appeared on her face. I'm sorry for wasting 21 years of your time. I froze for a moment. I racked my brains. I've lived with your parents for 21 years. Isn't that enough? A gentle breeze rippled across the lake as we smiled at each other. Zara ruffled my hair and gave me a tender smile. But since I'm 1 day older than you, that makes me your sister. Play however you want. I'll take care of you. Those bold declarations like, relying on yourself is always better than relying on others, flashed briefly across the smooth surface of my cerebral cortex. I rushed over and wrapped my arms around her waist. All right, my dear sister. When I got home that evening, I dramatically reenacted the scene with Jacob, my face beaming with excitement, especially Zane's expression, which looked as if he had eaten something disgusting, was portrayed by me with remarkable vividness. Jacob listened with a smile, feeling somewhat disappointed. I muttered, you must know who my parents are. I'm the only one who doesn't know. To everyone's surprise, Jacob actually replied, I don't know. He never lies to me. It's just that he's never been interested in these things, so he's never asked about them. In the dimly lit living room, his gaze was serious. No matter who your biological parents are, you're still part of our family, yes. We are family. Hiding the longing in my eyes, I whispered softly, brother, I'm moving out. Everything is back on track now, and that inappropriate dark affection should come to an end here. Jacob's gaze fell upon me. He remained silent for a long time. After returning from abroad, Lucas would come to my dessert shop every day to buy a blueberry mousse. Since he was a customer, I had no reason to turn him away. Tina would come to the shop to help me out when she had free time. Truly, fortune is as changeable as the moon. Vivian, how long do you plan to keep giving him the cold shoulder? I turned around in surprise. No, why would you think I'm giving him the silent treatment? Tina's eyes widened in shock. Clearly, most people present were unwilling to believe this. It's all because of my youthful arrogance. I left behind a dark chapter in my past. Lucas arrived the next day, but he was wearing a mask and a baseball cap. I looked at him in confusion and noticed a bruise near the corner of his eye. Got beaten up. Whoever did it, good job. After work, I hummed a little tune on my way home, planning to spend the evening at Jacob's place. The living room was pitch black. Only after turning on the wall lamp did I see Jacob leaning back on the sofa with his eyes closed, an empty liquor bottle at his feet. He looked utterly exhausted and frail. But Jacob rarely drinks except for social occasions, and never allows himself to lose control. Who is provoking him? Jacob opened his eyes at the sound, the alcohol still clouding his mind. He turned to look at me, shadows obscuring half of his face. I saw the bruise on his forehead clearly. Lucas's figure instantly appeared in my mind. I stepped forward, grabbed his chin, and checked his injury. Bro, did Lucas hit you? He looked at me with reddened eyes, staring for a long time as if in a dream. I reached out my hand in front of him. Suddenly, he pulled me into his embrace, stunned, rigid, at a loss. I even forgot to breathe. Our faces were almost touching, the warm scent of alcohol wafting over my sensitive neck. My throat went dry again, and I swallowed hard. Bro, my voice was very soft, like the gentle whispers between lovers. Vivian, promise me you won't go with them, okay? I froze for a moment, a sense of foreboding rising in my heart. Who are these people? Perhaps once it's all figured out, everything will be different. I lowered my voice and guided her slowly. Brother, who don't you want me to be with? As he raised his eyes, His thin lips brushed against my burning earlobe. I stared at him blankly, hearing it loud and clear. Don't leave me behind. It was a question without an answer. He was drunk, I believed, but his heartbeat uncontrollably quickened. Was he also reluctant to part? The drunken Jacob shed his usual aloof demeanor, revealing a side of himself unknown to others. His face was slightly flushed, his nose perfectly straight, his brows slightly furrowed, and his eyelashes fluttering gently. I'm really confused. I swallowed hard, trembling as I took out my phone to snap a few photos for evidence. Bro, you came into the room on your own, don't blame me. I closed my eyes and gently kissed his lips, so soft. The arm around me suddenly tightened. He drowsily opened his dark, bright eyes, misty and unfocused. His breathing grew heavier. As if trying to confirm something, he grabbed my neck, regained the initiative, and launched a fierce attack. The next day, when I woke up, as expected, my makeup had already been removed. Jacob must have been drunk in the middle of the night and carried me back. I touched my messy hair. Does he remember what happened last night? I nervously opened the door and looked around. He should have already gone to work by this time. The living room was empty. While relieved, I also felt somewhat disappointed. Just as I turned around, I heard footsteps behind me. Jacob, dressed in casual clothes, glanced at his watch, his expression unchanged. You're awake. Go take a shower. Breakfast is ready. Oh my God. He doesn't remember anything. My temper flared up instantly. No, I'm moving out. He pulled me back and said in a very calm tone, where to? Would you like to stay at Lucas's place? I tried to break free but couldn't, and instead, he lifted me by the waist and carried me toward the living room. Jacob placed me on the sofa. I stared in shock as Jacob knelt on one knee, looking up at me with excitement in his eyes. I didn't know what to do, took a step back, hands pressed against my chest, my body stiff, but his left hand aggressively rested on the arm of the sofa, the knuckles turning white from the excessive force, cutting off my retreat, leaving me no chance to escape. His voice was hoarse. Do you still remember? Aren't you going to take responsibility? I swallowed hard and said, Brother, do you still remember? He rubbed the dark red bruise at the corner of his mouth. My lips were bitten until they bled. How could I ever forget? My face flushed crimson as I turned my head away. Big brother would never abandon you. I never once considered kicking you out of this family. I can't bear the thought of you suffering. I looked at him seriously. Brother, are you taking responsibility for me, or do you like me? He took my hand and placed it on his chest. Thump, 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 like a drumbeat, as if it might burst open at any moment. What do you think? I felt both shy and happy. I wrapped my arms around his neck and buried my face in it. Brother, I love you. He held me tightly, his eyes filled with laughter. All right, I'll meet your parents tonight. Me, this was how I ended up meeting my biological father and mother. The couple was dressed casually, holding my face in their hands and conversing in Cantonese. Darling, her eyes are so big, just like yours, sweetheart. She looks so much like you. Ahem. Zara coughed twice. All right, don't scare our little sister. They finally let go of me, shoved the black card into my hand, and then comforted me in broken Mandarin. Mom and Dad are overjoyed to see you. Don't be afraid. What's there to be afraid of? I immediately put on a tearful expression. Mom and Dad, we're finally together. Mr. Wilson widened his eyes and glanced a few times, then lowered his head and chattered non-stop with Mrs. Wilson, acting just like me. Maybe we can scam some more money. The two families got to know each other in a harmonious and joyful atmosphere. In the end, it was decided to maintain the current relationship for the time being and continue to interact like one big family. Everyone was happy. Only Jacob was the exception. He cleared his throat. Everyone looked at him in confusion. Jacob unhurriedly pulled me along, then publicly revealed our identities. Everyone's expressions changed dramatically, except for Zara. She quickly snapped back to reality and gave me a meaningful look. The biological father, who had just been praising his good looks a second ago, suddenly flew into a rage, grabbing a flat shoe and hurling it at him. Drop dead. The scene descended into chaos. I had already prepared myself for death, but Zara pulled me away, and I closed my eyes. She laughed and said, "This is his karma for flirting with girls. Don't worry, Dad knows his limits." All right, that puts my mind at ease. So, the next day, Jacob's face swelled up, turning as puffy as a pig's head. The two families publicly acknowledged their relationship. Hong Kong's entertainment media went wild with coverage, flooding headlines with exaggerated and melodramatic titles. My Lucky Bowl dessert shop became an overnight sensation after my identity was exposed. Long queues formed every single day. My dream of being a carefree shop owner was shattered, forcing me into this industry. A few years later, my pastry shop had become a nationally renowned brand, with chain stores all over the country. But all that was for later. Lucas found out about my relationship with Jacob and lost control of his emotions, stopping me after work. Why, you pursued me for so many years. How could you suddenly switch to someone else? I looked at him in surprise. Don't you know, I've been chasing after you for so many years. What's your reaction? Silence, evasion, beating around the bush. He always answered like this. Lucas's gaze shattered into pieces, the despair in his emotions suppressed. But I've already fallen in love with you. I smiled. You're really funny. Belated affection is cheaper than a dog. Lucas lowered his bloodshot eyes, panting heavily. Can't you give me one more chance? Let me compete with him fairly. I looked at him. In terms of childhood friends, my relationship with my brother isn't even as close as yours. As for ideal types, they change as one grows older and matures mentally. Back then, I was young and naive, liking cold and sarcastic types. So you were lucky enough to catch my eye. Now that I've grown up, my ideal type is someone mature, gentle, considerate, and free from emotional neglect. Just like my brother, or rather, my brother is the Prince Charming in my heart. What makes you think you can compete with him? He looked dejected, no longer standing as straight as he used to. Don't let me or my brother see you again, or I'll help him beat you up. A familiar car pulled up beside me. Jacob took the coat and, without even glancing at Lucas, naturally helped me put it on. He picked up my backpack with one hand and placed the other on my shoulder. Let's go home. I'll make steak for dinner. Okay. Lucas watched the scene, recalling the words Zara had said to him. You're really slow when it comes to feelings. Someone has been pursuing you for years, and you still don't know what you think about it. Vivian's nose was red from the cold, yet he didn't even think to drape a coat over her shoulders. At this very moment, he suddenly had a thought. Perhaps it was for the best that she chose a man completely different from him. He suffered a great loss due to his slow reaction. However, such a good girl like her will be hard to come by in the future. After getting in the car, Jacob still couldn't bring himself to smile. Clearly, he had heard everything I just said. I seized this opportunity to ask the question I had long wanted to know. So how did you end up fighting with Lucas back then? In an instant, he stiffened. He kept his gaze straight ahead, his tone indifferent. He said, told me to give up on you. Me, seeing him in low spirits, I leaned over and kissed him on the cheek. Brother, when did you start liking me? The car came to a stop. He glanced at me sideways, his eyes flickering slightly. That night, I found out you're not my sister. My eyes widened. No, brother, you. After having this thought, I kept spitting on myself all day, but seeing how cautious you were, I felt uneasy about entrusting you to someone else. He took out a velvet box, opened it, and inside was a sparkling diamond ring. Jacob stared at me intently, his Adam's apple bobbing slightly. Vivian, will you marry me? If you're not ready now, I'll ask again next time. But my body and soul tell me that I am willing. I reached out my hand. Hurry, the light is about to turn green. Jacob, who is always composed, was trembling at this moment. He kissed my hand, his voice as gentle as could be. I like you. The light turned green, and the road ahead was clear. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.